We have no drone on this one. They're probably changing the battery, but you can see that they've started. This is race number 4. This is Stanford's Varsity 2 versus Syracuse.
Yeah, so we've got Syracuse is on the left coming down there. You can see the orange racing tanks.
Yes, they're going to be in lane 2. There's lane 1. There's lane 2.
So last year at the national championships, Syracuse's second varsity finished in 9th place, and Stanford's second varsity finished in 13th place. These boats generally are very competitive with each other. The preseason polling this year for the programs are Stanford number 8 and Syracuse number 9. So coaches expect these programs to be very, very close.
Very close, yes. Now, explain to myself and those viewers, and I'm sure that a lot of the viewers are well versed in crew and rowing, but how do you score in that final race? In other words, is it more points for your V8 and your 2 Vs, or less points and your 3 Vs count? So everybody really does count. Yeah,
great question. So at the men have always determined the national champion by who wins the varsity 8. In the women's NCAA championship, there is a combination and a point system among the 3 boats that are competed. But for the men, it's always been recognized as you put the best 9 athletes out there.
It's a single boat that signifies who's going to be the winner.
And I'll tell you, Steve, that in practical terms, you do not win the varsity 8 national championship without having good JV, good 3V pushing them every day.
Right.
So net effect, it really does go to the deepest program, because
if an individual strains a muscle or gets hurt or catches a bug or something like that, you've got to be able to go ahead and replace that individual with the same quality to go ahead and stay at that level.
Absolutely. All right, so here these boats are now approaching the midway point of the race, and Syracuse looks like they've got a little open water over Stanford.
Yeah. We've got some Syracuse fans screaming at their guys, and you hear the Stanford people screaming at their guys.
We mentioned in the varsity 8 competition between these 2 programs how young the Stanford varsity is, and no surprise, the Stanford junior varsity is also quite young. And they're restocking the program.
Well, the program was kind of put on a hiatus for a little bit there, and as a young rower, if I was a young rower and I found out that they weren't going to go ahead and be competing or have a team or something like that, I wouldn't, that would help the program fall off a little bit.
Yeah, very challenging situation for some really good coaches. Ted Sobolewski and John Pojednik, both from Northeastern, are really, really good coaches, and they were handed a very, very challenging situation by the Stanford administration. Made no sense. Fortunately, Stanford reversed it, and we anticipate Stanford rowing to be
coming back
around and getting stronger for hopefully decades to come. It's a very...
You saw right there, excuse me, come on, around that buoy they came across, and now you're seeing them come back this way. So they had a little bit of trouble there in that open water area.
Yeah, so what we're seeing now are the second best coxswains in the boathouse. So if one of these coxswains at the JV level, second varsity level, just absolutely nails this steering, we might see a change this afternoon even, or tomorrow or next week at their next racing. Again, it's a challenging course, and Having a bridge halfway across means every teammate can watch the coxswain's performance.
Yeah.
Some of these race courses you just don't really know because
Because you're on the side the entire way. Yeah.
So this is a real magnifying glass for coxswain's performance.
How do they steer? Explain how the steering process works. I know there's a rudder right where they're at. Is it with their feet, with their hands?
So the coxswains have little controls. There's a little rope on each end, each side of the boat. So you've got the rope in your right hand and in your left hand, and
pulley system.
Yeah. So
basically.
and shockingly, when you look under one of these boats, the rudder is smaller than a credit card, and that's what steers a 60-foot
Wow.
shell